Perfect.
All right.
Hello, everyone. It's great seeing some familiar faces and names, and excited to get you all together again. You may remember me, Kyle, and Nat from the How To Summit. We had a wonderful time, and we're really excited to kind of close the loop there, walk you through an actual demo, and talk to you about Trustworthy itself. We also have Lucy here, who is going to talk to us about her experience as a Trustworthy Certified Expert. And we will end the conversation with a Q&A. So let's get started. We've got a lot to cover. Nat's going to introduce Trustworthy from the jump.
Thanks, Marie. Hi, folks. I'm Nat. If you didn't get that from the slide, co-founder and CEO of Trustworthy. Thanks for joining today. We really came to this problem through talking to friends and family, and really at the moment when we both had young kids and our dad brains engaged, and we were thinking about legacy for our own families, beyond ourselves. What would happen if something happened to us? And as we talked to more and more people, we learned they were dealing with the same thing. You might call it information overload, but we're all dealing with so much digital information today, and it's kind of all over the place. This is the phrase we heard time and again from everyone. It's all over the place. There's bits of silos of my information in different places. I'm worried I'm going to lose track of something. And I'm really worried that my family wouldn't be able to pick up the pieces if something were to happen to me. That's a problem that sort of started 60 years ago with the birth of the information age. And it's a problem that's compounding. It's only going to get more and more, especially with AI, as more and more information gets generated and there's more stuff for us to deal with. Turns out that this problem actually is expensive. It's an expensive problem for folks, for families, that the average family is spending more than 50 hours a year staying on top of household paperwork, that the cost of not being organized and not staying on top of things results on average in about $1,268 a year in late fees and penalty and costs to your credit. All those insidious little costs that pile up, sometimes you don't even notice them. And then this other aspect of sort of anxiety or worry. 84% of people saying they worry about home organization and upkeep, and that won't be a surprise to many of you. When we looked at what people were doing to solve for this, we saw lots and lots of do-it-yourself systems. And we tried building some ourselves using the tools at hand. And what we found was they all suffered in the same areas. They all fell short. They all started with a blank page, which can be really debilitating. You don't know where to go or what to do next, or even like, what are all the things that I need to put in here? There's really no guidance. It required you to build it from scratch and then also maintain it all by yourself. All the information that you put in there, the system, like a Google Doc or a spreadsheet, has no context for that information. It doesn't know anything about it, and it can't offer a return. It can't offer you benefits based on that information. A big one for families was, look, I'm pulling this together because I want to share it, but I might not want to share everything right now. I might want to share some things right now and some things in the future. How do I handle the temporal nature of that? You can't do that in a spreadsheet, for example. If you share a spreadsheet, people can see everything that you share. So that was a big thing we wanted to solve for. Some of these systems have sort of questionable security. Am I getting something for free? Yes. What are they doing with my information? Is that really what I want to be sharing my personal family information with? There weren't any real service offerings around those tools, people who could help me or coach me or get me through it. And they just weren't purpose built for our needs, for the needs of families. And there's some bigger forces at play, sort of the backdrop to what we've built, that are forcing people to deal with these kinds of problems. So digital transformation, increasingly, things just arrive in a digital format in your inbox, right? They don't arrive in the mailbox anymore. and you can't easily file them in the filing cabinet. So what do you do with all that digital information? We're facing this big generational wealth transfer. I don't know, the number, every time I look at the number, it keeps going up. It's like 80 trillion in assets passing from baby boomers to young generations. Lots of people thinking about that transition and how that's happening. And is that going to be smooth, or is it going to be what we've seen, fraught with angst and people looking for things and trying to transition estates? We hear these stories all the time. Climate change is another big one, been in the news very recently, but it's happening more increasingly, leading to lots of natural disasters. What happens if your important paperwork gets washed away in a flood, or a wildfire, or a hurricane, or tornado? Do you at least have a digital backup of those important pieces of information for your family? And then we touched on it before, but mental health apparently now is the #1 concern for Americans. This growing awareness around issues like anxiety, depression, and stress. So interesting societal factors happening as a backdrop to what we built, and sort of help inform why we built it, right? That there wasn't really a system of record for families to keep all their important information safe and secure and shared with their loved ones. And those are really the big use cases that we built for. We want access to our family information wherever we are, when we need it. We don't want to wait. That's sort of the society we live in, like don't wait society. And that's become the expectation. We want our family to be ready if something happens to us. Where would they go to find the treasure map of all the things if something were to happen? And lots of our members thinking about their parents are coming to us saying, hey, I love this for my household. Maybe I'm a Gen X or a millennial, but how do I get this for my older parents? Their timeline feels even more urgent than mine. Maybe mom or dad is having some cognitive decline or health issues. It's really now is the time to get this done. And then sometimes after the fact, after someone's passed away, Trustworthy being used increasingly to collect all the assets for probate, or the process that estates go through when they transition, and making sure that all the stakeholders have access to the right information. And then this other big theme that we love, which is household equity, the idea of these two sides of the house coming together, so that everyone in the family has access to the right information at the right time, and there's not an imbalance of information or access to that information. This is the system that we've built. We've made it incredibly easy to get organized and get everything set up for your family and yourself. And you can see this diagram is kind of like a big alien spaceship, if you like. Trustworthy is in the middle. On the left, we have the slide. We have all the ways that we make it easy for you to get your information into Trustworthy and build those habits around getting things organized, shared with your loved ones. All the components that are in Trustworthy, really advanced security. We have Trustworthy Intelligence now that helps you automate a lot of the organization. We've had collaboration for your whole ecosystem, for your loved ones and friends and family, and your trusted advisors. The optimization and marketplace components as well, to help improve your system over time, or help you discover partners that complement your family operating system. And then all the ways that you can leverage the information and Trustworthy, whether you're trying to get your passport renewed, or make sure that bills are paid on time, or you need to provide materials to get a refinance approved. A lot of the information probably lives in Trustworthy. How do we help you share it with the folks who need it to get the things done that you want to get done? Filling out school forms for kids is one we hear, or summer camp every year around this time, sending kids off to college. It's a big one. How do we make sure that they are going off with their information? Lots and lots of value out use cases, helping you utilize your information in the places that you need to utilize it. Of course, that's all supported by our Trustworthy Certified Experts, this now not just national, but North American network of digital organization professionals that we've recruited to become digital organization experts, work with our members, bring digital organization to their clients, And you can see Lucy here on this slide. Thank you, Lucy. And she's here in person today, which is awesome. But we work with organizations like the Photo Managers and NAPO and NASM and PALS and the American Association of Daily Money Managers and Professional Fiduciaries of California and National Guardians Association. There's actually more logos to put on here, of course, the how-to folks as well. And we're going to talk more about how this program works in a minute. But the reason that the driving force, other than our members asking for help, was that the industry around digital organization services is growing quickly and steadily. And these numbers are only through 2028. There are new numbers now that go even higher, but just the digital organization services, not the software, just the services, is going to be a $5 billion business globally, and about $2 billion of that is in the US. So that's a really interesting driver to want to build a network of digital organization services for our clients and for your clients as well. If you guys want to become Trustworthy Certified Experts, if you're not already, we have a process, and it's a really great complementary program to the software that we've built. And I like to say everyone wins, because great, we sell subscriptions, that's awesome. You get to expand your business as a Trustworthy Certified Expert. If you're not already doing digital organization, or if you are already doing it, you can do it with a trusted platform like Trustworthy that's very, very focused on your clients, your families, and enabling them to have save time, save money, and enjoy peace of mind. So we're very highly aligned in terms of our end goal, which is serving families. You can also bring digital organization to your existing clients and expand the business that you do with them already. And then, of course, you can work with our members. Once you become certified, we can refer our members to you, the folks who are looking for coaching or service, and will often buy a bundle of software plus service from us that we then want to pair someone up with, usually in their town. If we can get someone in their town, just is nice to have that familiarity. Sometimes they have to drive a little way, but we pair people up with our certified experts so they can get that service. And then everyone wins. The client wins, they get better organized and prepared. You win with an expansion of your business. And we win because you're there supporting them through that sort of learning journey and get everything set up. And potentially even, beyond that, they become a recurring client, and you can reciprocally, if they came as a digital organization client, maybe there's other kinds of work that you can do with them as well. So it works both ways. Of course, we have a digital organization community to support you with resources and feedback and improvement over time. And that's all part of the experience that we provide. We market you to our members through website, through the marketplace, through email, through our events. We often invite Trustworthy Certified Experts to be part of our events, like we have Lucy here today. So there's a real support system around digital organization and our Trustworthy Certified Experts as well. We actually have a backlog of demand across at least the US. I don't know if we've looked at the demand in Canada yet. But in these states, we're actively looking to hire because we have members who've purchased service and we're looking to fulfill that service. So that's something that Marie can talk more about. And that's a big part of her role, is recruitment and then pairing people up with our members. I'm going to hand back to Marie, and she can do a quick introduction for Lucy.
Thanks, Nat. We've got Lucy here. Lucy's been a TCE with us for about a year, I believe, and has had a business of her own in the Bay Area for about 12 years, which is remarkable. I thought it would be really helpful if she were to speak about her experience, the resources, the platform, and Lucy works with someone named Mark. And I think that match right there is something that's a little bit unique, and also something that everyone can replicate. And so, Lucy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, thanks, Marie. So as this slide says, I've been doing in-home organizing for a really long time. I live in San Francisco, and I would say at least 50% of my clients work in tech. And they would often ask me, what should I do for my information storage? And I would say, look, Google Drive or iCloud, that's kind of all I got for you. There wasn't really anything in the marketplace like this. And when I first discovered Trustworthy, I was like, this is the thing we've been looking for, because it's got the ease of implementation, it has the security, it has the comprehensive way to grab all of your information. So that's why I became a TC, because I believe in the software. And I'm actually slow in implementing it for myself, but once I saw what it could do, I'm like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. But I think the power of Trustworthy that you can't replicate in like a traditional file system, whether it's digital or paper based, is that everything's linked. So if you pull up a trust, you will get any property, any insurance, any taxes that are associated with that trust in that section of Trustworthy. And it goes the other way. If you pull up insurance, you see all the car insurance, all the property insurance, all the health insurance. It really cross-references in a nice way so that, you know, if there's a person in the household that manages the information and they're not able to get in, someone else could get in and be like, oh, I see how this all fits together. I don't have to deep dive and match all of the pieces up. But yeah, my client named Mark, classic, one of my clients in tech, super busy, like literally does not have time to even drag and drop into Trustworthy. Like he just will not do it. So the email to inbox is something that we're using because he can send an email and that's about it. And then on the back end, I can go in and sort of push everything where it needs to go. The AI assistant obviously helps, but it's nice to just like complete everything so that next time he logs in, he sees, oh, my stuff is together and I don't have to worry as much about that. But yeah, that's been my experience with Trustworthy. And yeah, it's been my entry into digital organizing because like I said, I didn't really see much of a point in trying to do it before that there was this nice software.
Yeah, and two things I think that are really important to kind of go back on are the collaboration tools. So that's how you're able to connect your accountant, your TCE, and it can be for a moment in time. It can be with a babysitter till the end of the day. Whatever it happens to be, you can share any section of Trustworthy with a confidant at any time, or any of your I guess I would say service providers or agent. What do we call them? Advisors. And then also, Lucy, you're able to do that remotely. So because Mark is able to email to inbox, you can, from your own home, organize the things that he has emailed on your time at your house. So that's not something that you need to actually physically be with him at all times to take care of anything.
That's correct. In fact, I've never even met him in person, only on Zoom.
And therefore, like with Mark specifically, you're able to meet with him like at least once a month or something like that. I think that's
we're on about a once a month schedule. We started off every couple of weeks, and then sort of like has tapered off as I have more access to the information. He adds more advisors. I'm able to communicate directly with the advisors. So
yeah, and I think that that's a really cool model that a lot of people here can go back to some of their current clients. And I always say that there are different times of the year that you should definitely go back and check with clients, like tax season, end of year, closeout, spring cleaning. All of those things are really good reasons, because, you know, paper piles up. It is the thing that there was someone that we met at How To that was like, I just hate paper. I just don't want to deal with it. I was like, yes, we completely understand. But it's
Maria, I think one thing you're touching on here is really interesting. A learning that we got from the folks at How To was, oh, this looks really easy compared to what I do, which is, you know, lifting boxes and moving things, and you know, that's hard work. You know, I sweat every day, and I don't know how much longer I can do it. We're like, hey, digital organization is way easier than what you normally do.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a plus on the digital organization side. I just want to add one more thing, Lucy. You know, you called out that your own family operating system is in process. That's great. It's a big component of becoming a TCE is you actually get your own household account as part of your certification, because we love for you to be authentically using it for your own household, and not only learn about the platform in that respect in terms of its capabilities and find out where you like things and where you would like things to improve, but it's, great context for working with clients because you're going to be able to answer their more nuanced questions as you go. Lucy, so that's fantastic. I love to hear that you're using it and adopting it.
Yeah.
That authenticity makes such a big difference when you're working with clients. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would say too, if you haven't taken the TCE course yet that you have to take for certification, it's very detailed and hands-on. I don't know if anyone here has done any other software training courses, but they tend to be just kind of like, okay, click through that, you watched it, okay, great. This one is very in-depth. You have to go do the thing. So by the time you finish the course, you do feel like, okay, I'm prepared to help someone implement this. I'm prepared to implement it myself.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I was speaking with someone who was like, I'm not tech savvy. I don't think this is for me. And I started speaking with them about it. And they're like, oh, this actually seems very doable. And I think that by going through the course or even just getting your hands on it, it is so intuitive. And Kyle can bring us through that in a few minutes. But it's just something that even for those that are a little intimidated by tech solutions, I'd still give this a shot and see how powerful it can be and how easy it is to work with.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy.
Can I say something real quick? I think this is fantastic. My wife and I have started looking at the system in the test mode, and we sat in on a couple of these webinars. So I definitely see the potential, and we're going to be taking I won't tell you how many boxes of paper we have around the house to start getting this thing going. I realize we've been married 32 years, and I realize I have at least 32 sets of tax returns. And who knows what else I have in there. But Lucy, I wanted to ask you about Mark. Is he your typical client where you continue to work with him on an ongoing basis? I was under the assumption that most clients just want the setup and then you kind of disappear and leave them to their own devices with the system.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The setup can take a while because people's priorities are elsewhere, right? Like we all know, like if you're an organizer, like the work we're doing, they don't want to do. And they will do anything to avoid doing it. So part of our job as a TCE is to keep the process moving forward, to keep checking and saying, hey, we got this done, but we still need to do this. Like, where is this? Can you send me this? Can you introduce me to this person? So you're really keeping the process moving forward for them. So I've been working with him for quite some time and the implementation is not done. So I would say yes, mostly you're there for the setup, but the setup is fairly extensive, especially depending on the client. I mean, this is a person who's got multiple trusts, multiple properties, like lots of moving parts. So yeah.
I think, Bill, there's also a scenario where, just as Lucy said, like the value is prioritization of their time. These people are many times time starved or not tech savvy. If they're tech savvy, they might just need someone to just get it going for them and then they can manage it or not. But if they're time starved, they're still going to need you to do maintenance with them. If they're not tech savvy, it could go either way. They could start becoming comfortable or they could still, want to rely on you for that. So it's really personalized for each member.
Okay, that's good. All right. Thank you. Thank you both.
Okay.
I'll just briefly mention we also have an affiliate program where anyone can sign up. Go to trustworthy.com/affiliates. You can sign up. You get a link. It's your personal link that you can track. You put on your blog, in your social media, wherever you'd like to share it. That gives your client a 10% discount on a subscription. And when they subscribe, you get a 10% reward. So it's just another way to sort of help monetize the digital organization component. And again, everyone's kind of winning in this experience. If that's something beyond the sort of service revenue that you'd like to incorporate into your business, then you certainly can. And works just.
No,
sorry, go ahead, Bill.
I was gonna say, in this program, if someone signs up and they renew, is there still a continuing reward in subsequent years, or is it a one-time?
We don't have a renewal today. It's a one-time today, but we certainly can create those kinds of campaigns particularly if you have those kinds of clients where you are working with them in an ongoing fashion. It's something we can look at. We're sort of looking to inform that based on the feedback that we're getting from experts.
Okay. And when someone uses your link to subscribe, if they happen to be in your general area,
Yes.
Are you likely the person to get that that business?
Absolutely. I would connect with you first, and even if they're not in your area, see if you all are both comfortable with the situation, and figure out how you would definitely have first right of your refusal.
So, okay, cool.
Yeah. Before Kyle gets started, I'm going to quickly tell you about how the process works. So you're going to complete the course, which can take 2 hours if it's heads down time. Just as Lucy mentioned, it is a process where you're going to update one of your IDs. You're going to update this, you're going to update that. So you're going to start your process in Trustworthy itself. We then suggest that you get really social, meaning get your affiliate link created, get it in your LinkedIn, get the badge in LinkedIn, get your affiliate link on your social media, get it on your website, all these different places so that you've got more opportunity to let your community know that this is a new service that you're adding and you can get a kickback from it. And then also we would like to feature you in our marketplace so other people can find you in case that they are in their location. They kind of leapfrog me, they can go straight to you. And maybe you specialize in like ADHD or something like that someone wants to work with someone who's in that sort of area. So our marketplace is able to feature you on our website. After you've completed the course, I will then invite you to join our TCE Google group. In that group, we share ideas, tips, and tricks. Oftentimes I'm sharing recordings like these. We've made templates that are service agreements, how-to videos. We've got, every time we have new resources for solutions for aging parents or estate planning or anything and everything in between. How to talk about security, ad that we know worked really well, so that when you're speaking with clients, when they have any questions about something, you can go into this resource hub and you can pull something out that's specific to the question that they're asking. As we do this more and more frequently, more things get added. So we really want you to feel like you're supported and you've got the answers that you need when you're meeting with these clients. It's something that's really, really important. Someone yesterday just asked me, do you have a deck that I could present to a group of potential clients? And I said, no. Brilliant. I'm going to do it. When's your presentation? So those are the sorts of ways that your feedback helps drive the content in this hub, and you have access at all times. And then from there, it's really just expanding your business, getting it through the marketing that you currently are doing, expanding it in different ways. We're thinking about how we can create some templates around marketing to help you get clients. Obviously, when the opportunity presents itself, I will make the match, but it's, kind of depends on who's signing up when and who's available. I've oftentimes reached out and the TCE is just completely booked. So it's a moment in time, and we really encourage everyone to figure out or help, we can help figure out how to market this specific service within your organization. And that's about it. And I will toss it over to Kyle for the fun part.
The fun part. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. We'll do some demos and overviews of Trustworthy. Good to see everybody back on this. I know I met a lot of you at the How To Summit. Wasn't exactly the best environment for software demos in any depth. We did some of that, but I thought getting people on this webinar, we could go a bit deeper into the software and record it as well for those who couldn't show. I'm going to start on the web app, and then we'll touch a bit on mobile. We'll look at some functions around email to inbox, where we could forward emails into Trustworthy, and other ways you can get data into Trustworthy. I'm logged in right now as a household called the Reynolds household. I'm logged in as a user called David. The first thing you see, I'm on a dashboard on my web app here, and there's a couple concepts I want to highlight that touch on things that Nat raised and what Lucy raised as well. The first being that of collaborators. So we can see various people who have some level of access to our account. And this is really versatile. Majority of our users have at least one collaborator, like a most trusted loved one, a spouse, or something like that. And in many other cases, people invite professionals to their account. And you can see the sorts of levels of access that people can have. There could be all access collaborators, or something like you can invite a limited access collaborator, which would represent, like, if you invited a financial advisor, for example, Catherine here is a financial advisor. And when I look at Catherine's permissions, she's got access to my finance category and taxes category, but nothing else. If I look at Misha, who's a personal assistant, Misha's got access to family IDs, property, and you can get even more granular and you can share like very specific things, not the entire category, but I could share certain passwords with Misha if I wanted. So there's a really robust and granular way to control how people have access to your account. And as we start to explore through Trustworthy, you'll see what that means, what these different sections mean. One of the other things that stands out with Trustworthy as opposed to something like a Google Drive is this idea of context and understanding of your documents. So any document that I upload, if there's a date on that document that's like an expiry date or a renewal date, Trustworthy is going to identify that and create these reminders. And I have a lot of different reminders in my system. It's surfacing sort of the most urgent ones here on my dashboard, but it's pulled these automatically directly from documents that I put into Trustworthy. And it's going to circulate these reminders via email notifications or push notifications to your mobile device. And this really helps you stay on top of those things, especially things that don't come up that frequently, like insurance policy renewals or passport renewals. We're going to give you a lot of lead time. We're going to remind you of those and make sure you get the job done. One other item that relates to collaboration is this idea of assigned items. Not everybody in a household is equipped to capture the data that we need in Trustworthy. So, in my case, I've got some assigned items here. I need to get the account type for this 401k. I need an account holder for this. If my wife logs in, she might see something like capture this particular bank account or her savings account. We need the routing number. So you can really separate concerns and assign different items to different people who are the best equipped to capture that information. We want you to fill in as many blanks as possible so you're prepped for all the different life events that might hit you. This helps make things more searchable when it's time to search for things. So there is this overlay on top of Trustworthy of collaboration where you can assign these different tasks back and forth. And we're going to touch on the inbox in a moment. You've heard us talk about that in passing. But before we do that, let me jump through a couple of these categories to show you the structure of how we organize things in Trustworthy. And then we'll look at how quick and easy it is to get stuff in and get stuff organized and how you can use those tools to collaborate remotely with others. I'm going to go into a section called Family IDs. And this will represent my household, the people in my household, and even pets for that matter. And if I click on any one of these, what we call tiles, I'll get more information. And inside each of the tiles is where the bulk of data is stored. So when I go into Laura Reynolds' tile, I see her different family IDs that she's got set up. Everything from driver's license all the way down to AAA memberships. There's no limit to what you could put in here. You could have different loyalty cards. You could have multiple passports. You can have anything that you imagine that's like it could be a library card, a transit card. You can have all that stuff stored in here. And you'll notice when I'm looking at these, some items are redacted on screen. Those are items that are treated with enhanced security on them. And they're in the back end, there's a technology we use called tokenization, which sort of hides this data from our database and stores it somewhere else in isolation. But we're also redacting on screen to prevent from people looking over your shoulder and fetching key information. When you look at any of these files, what I like about this is sometimes, outside of the collaboration that we just talked about, where you're inviting someone into your account where they're going to have access to things, there's certain relationships you have with people that are very transient, where it's like, for a moment, I need to share this driver's license with somebody because I'm doing a mortgage renewal and the broker needs my ID. You can click on any file in Trustworthy and you can share it temporarily with somebody through this share option. We call them secure links. And what this allows you to do is pick an expiry date on the share. And let's say I'm working with a broker. He needs this right now. I could say, okay, let's do a 1 hour share. It's going to generate a link for me to share with them. And this is a really low friction link for the recipient in that they can click the link, they can see the data, they can do what they need to do with it. I'm going to get a notification that the link was accessed. I'll get a notification when the link is expired. If I know that they're done with the link, I can manually expire it at any time, so it's no longer available. This is a much nicer and more secure solution than just attaching that a picture of your license to an email, sending it into your broker's inbox where it's probably going to live forever inside their inbox. So this is a way that you can share any individual file for a real temporary period and make sure that it's not sitting in someone's inbox forever. The other thing that you see here to the right are these reminders that got created automatically. So as I drop these files in here, as I build out my system, it's stacking up these different reminders for renewals and for licenses or passports or whatnot. And you'll see that concept throughout Trustworthy. If I go into something like finance, I'll see all my different bank accounts. I'll see credit cards. I'll see any crypto, investment, loans that I might have. And these, like Lucy had mentioned, these relate back to other things in Trustworthy. If I click on something like this bank account here, not only do I see details about the bank account, but it's linked off to another entity in Trustworthy called a trust that's stored in my legal category, and I have a link directly to that. And I'm also linked to another contact out of my contact database who I work with at this bank. Property is sort of a really good example of seeing those relationships. Property includes everything from real estate to vehicles to electronics, heirlooms, that sort of stuff. If I go into something like my Omaha actually, you know what? Let me do this. I'm going to go into Park City Ski Chalet. This will be a good one to use it as an example. Not only do I see information about the property itself, the address, but I have links off to the owners. So this is partially owned by a trust and one of my family members, and I have links to those. There's a mortgage here that I have a link to that comes out of my finance category. I don't have insurance set up, but we're going to see that in a minute. I'm going to build this insurance automatically just by dropping a file into Trustworthy. And then I also have links back to other contacts that come out of my contact database. These are the people and companies that help this property run. Could be anything from energy, internet, power, trash service. If you live where I live, maybe it's snow removal, something like that. So there's no limit to what you can stack up on this household or on this property to make sure that everyone knows who are the people that we call, whether it's a plumber or an electrician or internet service provider. Okay, and all these other categories, they'll sort of look and behave the same, from passwords to insurance to taxes, legal. Legal will be everything from wills, trusts, powers of attorney, medical directives. And we also have a business category for those households that have stakes in different business. Maybe they own businesses. Maybe they own businesses that own businesses. Maybe they are partners. Maybe they have trusts as well. You can store all that stuff in Trustworthy, and this will contain all the information related to that business, including bank accounts, insurance, tax filings, property that they own, etc. But one thing I want to do now is let's talk about what it's like to build all this stuff up. It's nice for me to scroll through and show you how great things look when everything's in there. But there's a lot of tools baked in here to help you get organized and build out these different tiles and form those relationships automatically. And I'm going to use something called the inbox as like a staging area, just so you could see some of the workflows that can happen here. Every file that you put in Trustworthy, eventually you want to move it into the rightful spot where it should be filed inside one of those tiles. Like it'll get attached, like a bank statement will get attached to a tile inside my finance category that represents that bank account. But sometimes you don't have the time, or you don't have the time. Yeah, you don't have the time to like file everything. You just want to get it out of your purview, whether that's an email you're looking at or something you opened up from the mail, and you want to get it into Trustworthy and file it later, or outsource the filing to someone like Lucy, who's going to come in later and take those things that you sent to your inbox and put them in the right spot. So the inbox can accept files from all sorts of places. Nat had a slide up where there was a lot of things down the left-hand side, like a ScanSnap scanner. Our iOS app can scan stuff directly into Trustworthy. You can drag and drop files. You can forward emails. You can grab screenshots using our Chrome extension. All sorts of ways that things can get into Trustworthy. I'm going to do a really easy example where I'm going to just drag a few files in there so we could start to see how this works. So I'm going to grab a little cross-section of files here. So I'm moving some files, and these just as easily could have been forwarded in here, but a couple of the files I've got here, a medical ID card, I got a homeowner's insurance summary document, I've got a bank statement, and I've got a couple ID cards, and I'm just going to drop those in there. And what happens anytime a file lands in Trustworthy is we analyze that file and we extract key details from it that become searchable, and then we come up with a plan as to where and how to file that. And in the act of filing that to the right spot, we're actually going to populate a bunch of the fields in Trustworthy for you automatically and build reminders where relevant. So some of the things that you see here as it's analyzing these files is we pop up this details that comes on top, and this just shows you some of the data. Every file is different, but some of the things our autopilot can extract from this file, things like account numbers and routing numbers and bank names and start dates and end dates of a statement. We're also going to come up with a better file name for it to help it be more searchable in the future. And for files, we're also going to create a summary, like a plain English summary with the salient points. For something like a bank statement, this might not be that relevant, but let's say it's a trust that's like 48 pages. You can get the summary of that trust in a couple paragraphs right here. So what happens here is each of these files gets queued up in, if I click on any one of these, it's going to open up a drawer that's going to follow me around Trustworthy and ensure I get the file to the right spot. And it's even coming up with suggestions as to what to do with it. So in this case, it found this passport and it analyzed my entirety of Trustworthy. It said, you know what, you already have a spot for this passport under your David Reynolds family member. You should move it there. Does the same with my Social Security. A bank statement, it came across this, it said, you know what, we've analyzed all your financial instruments and Trustworthy. This bank account does not exist. You should add it. And it's going to take me through that process of adding. Let me show you this example. This is a pretty good one. I can click on add here to add this bank account. And what it does is it goes into my finance category. It creates a new tile for this bank account. And all I need to do is drag this file now out of my inbox over to the files section here in this bank account page. And you'll see one of the things that it's doing through our assistant is it's extracting all this key data that Trustworthy wants to put in these fields. It's showing it to you, asking you to approve it, and you can click accept all, and it's going to populate everything in this bank account based on that data. Okay, so I took it from dragging a file in to filling out everything in the Trustworthy, creating a tile in Trustworthy and filling it out in a couple seconds. Over on back on my inbox, here's another one where it recognized that I didn't have this home insurance policy in my insurance category yet. I can say, okay, let's add it. And it's going to create a new page inside my insurance category called New Homeowners Insurance. I can drag this like policy top sheet to the policy block over here. And check this out. It's going to do the same sort of autofill. This one's a bit more robust in that. Let me just accept these and you'll get a sense of what it's done here. Is it's analyzed everything in Trustworthy and it found the details it needed to build out this policy. It linked it to a home that it found because it analyzed the document. It found a home in my property category. It formed that link. If you remember Lucy talking about the links that get created between the different entities in Trustworthy, this is a pretty powerful thing. So now it knows that this insurance policy belongs to this home. It did that automatically. And it even linked it up to policyholders that are from my family ID section. It found those in the policy that I uploaded, and now it's formed those links automatically. Okay, and it's going to do that for everything that you put in there. So dragging and dropping things out of the inbox to where they belong helps to populate and create those links. And in many cases, let's say it's something like a passport. In this case, David Reynolds exists as an entity in here. So it's just going to take me to his page. But I can see that I don't have my passport here. So I'm going to drag this passport over. It's going to autofill all those things. And it's even going to create a reminder. You'll see a reminder snap in over here for renew passport. So it did that automatically just by dragging that file over. And it can do that with all sorts of different files just to make sure you're on top of all these different things. Okay, so that was a example of just dragging a bunch of files in there. I'm going to snap over to an email that I have, and I'm going to show you something called email to inbox. So I've got an email here with a couple life insurance policies, one for me and one for Laura, that came from my broker. I can forward these to Trustworthy. Every account in Trustworthy gets a unique email address that you can set up inside your Google Contacts, your Apple Contacts, and essentially you just forward items to it. So I'm going to type in inbox. I'm going to pick that inbox, and I'm going to send this over there. And what happens is in a few moments, back on my inbox, we'll see those insurance policies snap in. It'll analyze them. It'll tell me what to do with them. It'll help me get them to the right spot. So those will come in a moment. While we're waiting for those, let's show another area that's really, really common for people to capture data and get it into Trustworthy, and that's using our iOS app. So let me just get into my app here. I'm going to open up Trustworthy. You'll see it uses Face ID to get you in, so it's really quick and easy to get in. You just point out your face, or some devices you can have a touch ID or your touchpad for your fingerprint scanner to get in there as well. So I'm on my mobile device now. It's got the entirety of Trustworthy there, so you can access your data on the go. If you need anything while you're on the go, let's say you need a VIN number or a plate number for your car because you have the DMV, you can search for that and find it here. You'll also see that those insurance policies, those life insurance policies are here now. They've showed up. But what I came here to do is to use this scan button. So you'll see down in the bottom toolbar, there's a scan, which is great for single page or multi-page documents. If it's a really hefty document like a trust, I'd use a desktop scanner for that. And you can configure your scanner. If it's like a ScanSnap, you can configure it to email directly into Trustworthy. It'll land right in your inbox. But what I'm going to do is I've just pulled an auto insurance policy declaration page out of the mail. What I want to do is scan it and get it into Trustworthy. So I can use the scan function on my device. I'm just going to point it at this doc. It's going to grab a scan. If I have multiple pages, I can just flip the page and scan again, but I'm just going to save that. And what it's going to do, it's going to grab that document. It's going to analyze it in the same way. If I already know where it's going to go, I can use these little this little navigation here to specify where it's going to go, or I can wait a minute and AI is going to tell me what to do with it. And this is going to be a lot like what you saw on the desktop, where it's going to come up with a recommendation and then it's going to autofill a bunch of stuff for me. And what it's doing now is just analyzing my Trustworthy to come up with a plan for how we're going to deal with that file. In the meantime, while we're looking at it doing its matching, one thing you'll note right away, if I look back into my web app, is it's already there. It's been stored and secured inside Trustworthy. Okay, so it's already got a plan in place over here on the web app, and it's analyzed my details to tell me that, hey, this insurance policy that you just scanned from mobile, this is the first we've seen it. You should add this new policy to Trustworthy, and I could do this on my mobile device as well, or I can do it right from here. I'll just do it here since we're looking at this. If I click add, it creates this new insurance policy for me. In the same way as I did before, I can just drag it to that policy block, and it's going to fill in everything for me. It's going to determine who the provider is, policy number. It's going to figure out my covered drivers, and it found vehicles inside Trustworthy that match. And I can just click accept, and it's going to form all those links. So you can see how it's linked up the drivers, it's linked up the vehicles. I have these quick links back to those areas just by scanning that file from Trustworthy or from my iOS app. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to raise, let me flip back to mobile. We could look at it on desktop as well, but the idea of searching for things, once your footprint of the data inside Trustworthy gets bigger, you have a lot of stuff in there. Sometimes it's more efficient to start searching for things rather than navigate through Trustworthy to find anything. So let's say I was looking for, I don't know, the plate number on my Toyota Sienna. There's a lot of different things I could search for. I could search for Sienna. It's going to go off and find everything related to Sienna. And this could be everything from my vehicle registration. It could be repairs that I've done. It could be the tile that represents the Sienna. I could tap on that tile to get into my record for this vehicle. There's my plate. I can click on the copy button to copy it and go put it into a form or whatever I needed to do with that plate. Okay.
You can also excited to demo this today because search just went GA or general availability last week. So this is a brand new feature. It's something he's been able to demo for a while in beta, but it's so fresh and new. Everyone has access to it now, and it's so fresh the email hasn't even gone out to announce it. So
that's right. Yeah, because someone hasn't done it yet.
Kyle, it's so like mundane for Kyle. He's not even like, oh, that's right. This is a cool new feature for everyone. But I just wanted to mention that so that people knew that the email will be coming out probably, is it later this week or early next week?
Yeah. yeah, probably tomorrow if I get my stuff together and get it all organized, and we'll get it out just to announce to people. So the software's always under development. There's always something new that we're rolling out. And then after sometimes some things, if they're big enough, they'll go through beta phase where we have a group of beta people that'll be involved. Some of you will be on that list that get early access to things, and then we'll work out the kinks and then we roll it out to people. But we like to go through, especially for big initiatives, to go through a longer rollout phase just to make sure all the security and privacy checks are in place before we launch that. So that's a new thing that's launched recently. There's another thing that just launched today called, where is it? The eulogy writer. We'll talk about that later. But
before you talk about that, I just want to like, as a trustworthy certified expert, you get access to the beta programs and the early feature releases. So that's something that we love. Obviously, we love to share new stuff with you, get feedback from you on what we should be building next. But you know, as one of those trustworthy certified experts, you get access to those features early and get to test them out. You may not be as excited for that, but it's certainly helpful for us to get the feedback of how it's working. And if your clients are asking for something as well, we love to hear that kind of feedback too. Anyway, just that I mean, we need a highlight there, Kyle. It says new or something.
I know.
Yeah.
There's a few things like that it's like we work so hard on it, we launch it, and then we move on to the next thing. We don't give it the adequate fanfare. There's no like ribbon cutting, so we definitely have to do better with that. So search is there. If you're on a Mac, Command K will launch it, Control K on Windows, or you can always click it up in the top right and just start typing what comes to mind, and you'll probably find what you're looking for there. I rambled a lot there, and I know we're closing in on the end of this, so let's stop for a moment, and we should do some Q&A, maybe something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Does anyone have any questions about any of the things that we covered today? I know it was a lot. Good news is I'll be sending this recording out to this entire email list. And you'll have my email at that point as well. So any questions that come up, we can talk about. But yeah, anyone have any questions?
I do. Hey, Kyle, quick question about the categories. So you have family IDs, finance, property, and alike. Can you create your own categories? So for argument's sake, someone has artwork they want to catalog for insurance purposes, that type of thing. How do you create a separate, unique category?
This is a great question. So the answer for now is you can't create those categories.
Okay.
Reach out to us and put your hand up for what category it is that you want. One thing that we're working on a design for is a medical category right now. That comes up frequently. It's one of our top feature requests besides the Android app. So both of those things are high on our radar and in active development now. So for now, each of these categories are sort of purpose built. So we're going to be launching a medical category next year, early next year, for tracking whether it be diagnoses, prescriptions, lab results, all those things. You can store those in that category. So that's a great question. A lot of people can innovate given what's there now. So for example, people will put under, for tracking medical info now, they'll go into family IDs, they'll go into the person who's impacted by this medical. You can always create custom folders here. And people will create one called lab results, they'll put stuff in there. Maybe something called prescriptions, they'll put stuff in there. So there's workarounds, but we recognize that that's not the best. We want to come up with a more purpose-built category.
So, that's great, because I do remember these particular workarounds during the trial that I participated in over the summer. But I did want to ask if there was a way to, but if you're working on it, so that's great.
Yeah, we are, and we recognize that there's probably a future where you could create your own custom categories. We're not there yet, but we've got an itemized list of here's the ones that people want the most. We're going to build those out, and then we'll evaluate from that point.
Sounds good.
All right.
I will say we hope not to need that. You won't need custom categories, meaning, a lot of the reason we have these normalized categories is that we've learned from now thousands of families that these all make sense. And the context behind that is our members have said, look, I built a system, I built a DIY system that made sense to me, but when I tried to get my family, it didn't make any sense to them.
Right.
So we hope that this is logical enough for everyone to navigate. We will, we clearly allow customizations today. I think Kyle showed customized sections within each tile. And we're going to add more categories as we learn, like there's a medical category coming, obviously, but as we learn, if there are more to add that are common to every family. But we hope that you won't need to customize the categories themselves. But of course, we let customers advise us on everything.
Right. Well, I would personally, I think there should be a limit. At least if I were doing for me, I know I'm going to have a limit. The more categories, the more challenging it gets, even with technology to kind of let me go from one place to the other. But I do think there's certain situations where you might want to be able to create a category on the fly because this customer has a unique situation and they really want it separate from everything else. So if there's a create category feature that could be built in, they can do it on their own. Then you don't have to worry about coming up with all of the additional categories. Once you've got the set number that you believe is right for for your system, and for most clients, anything beyond that, they could create it on their own by hitting a create button or something like that.
Yeah. And one thing I just want to mention, you had talked about artwork or something like that. Under your property category, you'll find a ability to store artwork and other valuables and jewelry and things in there. You do an inventory of those. Some people have their hands up. Let's jump to Stephanie, who's in queue with a question. Stephanie, what do you got for us?
Hey, this is Adrian. I work with Stephanie at Simply Beautiful Space. And I had a question. It's kind of about the security that goes on with it. I know you had mentioned it, you use tokenization. Is this all like cloud-based that everything is stored, or is there a physical server somewhere? And are you using like 256 SHA to transfer it and everything like that? Or how's that?
So there's a number of things. You can go to trustworthy.com/security to get the full rundown of everything we're doing. So yeah, everything's encrypted, in transit and at rest. Tokenization is another strategy that we use to take the most private of data. Let's say it's a social security number. We extract that from our database, replace it with an arbitrary token, and we store that social security number in isolation in a different network environment, in a different database, such that if anything got compromised, those things aren't together. You can't reassociate them. It's a really costly thing for us to do, but it's one of the only ways that we could come to terms with, creating such an application and a strategy for us to make sure that we've gone to that the extra level to make sure everything's secure. So all that encryption is there to begin with. Tokenization is an extra level. And the other thing that has, I think, a really big impact for people is multi-factor authentication. Even adding that second factor on login takes people from sometimes a okay security posture to a really good security posture. And then once you add these other levels of tokenization, you're at a pretty fantastic security posture at that state.
And I've included the link to this security page in the deck that I'll share with you as well for future reference.
Yeah, so it's a very robust page. So there's a lot of stuff in there besides technology. We also employ white hat hackers. We have a bug bounty program. We're doing penetration testing. We've got all the different certifications like SOC 2, SOC 3, GDPR, etc. So this is something we talk about all day, every day. Is how do we improve security? How do we make sure that we're on top of it?
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Let's jump to, I think Anne was next.
Hi, I'm curious to know who's the best person to speak to about the TCE program and how you could plan for how that might positively impact your business.
Yep, that's Marie.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I'm curious to know more about how the TCE program could positively impact your business. So what, you talked about having clients waiting in certain states, and I'm just curious to understand more about that.
Yeah, so the way that it works is that, where do you live, by the way?
I live in New York.
Okay, so when a member or if a member lives, in close proximity to you, I will reach out to you and let you know that we've got a member that has on average 6 hours of logged time that they've purchased already. We call it concierge or just a TC expert service, and give you kind of a little bit of a background. I don't have much information on the members. It's part